What's up, YouTube? I'm back, and this is part 2 of Haunted Mansion history lesson by a crazy guy with a beard who just mind goes all over the place. Yeah. So let's get back into it. So we left off. I need to do an intro. Wait a minute. I now have merchandise for sale. Link in the description down below for these designs and more. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so now we left off at this scene right here where you walk down the hallway and the officer come out and try to grab you. The next scene, I can't tell what that word says, but it says room ghost party. And it's a big octagon room with all these windows. Let me turn the camera because I don't like that angle. I'll flatten it from this side a little better. So, and the whole concept of this was like, famous monsters. So you gotta have all these windows and see these different facades of these famous monsters. Phantom of the Opera, Frankenstein, King Tut, Dracula, Marley and Scrooge, Captain Hook, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Widow Eva, Simon Legree, Loretta Bulgaria, Bulgaria. Okay. And then he was like, some that you would see, like stuff like that. Okay, so after that, you then walk through here, and the map is kind of hard to read. I wasn't able to get a good picture of it, but I believe you see another scene about this bride and the curse, and kind of like what that movie is about. And Hair of the Arm comes back, and this is where you get to fight with Hair of the Arm, and the gatekeeper may disappear. It's a little confusing on when that actually would happen, but you do get guided through the house by the person once the caretaker leaves. It looks like this part here is then you walk through a trophy hall, and then you go through the exit into a courtyard. We have synchronized ghost and wedding cakes, and then you go out to the paved courtyard, garden, and exit. And if you look on the side here, there's another graveyard. So that was the full walkthrough attraction. So let's talk about a few other things. One thing is during the test is why it didn't work was we didn't have the animatronics. We didn't have the technology that we have today. So all the mechanics and all the things that happened had to be reset manually. So like when Hair of the Arm comes out, when that group left that room, a cast member would have to go in there and reset the room before the next group came in. So if you didn't do that in time, it kind of ruined the magic. So it's a lot of like going back and forth and resetting the props, resetting the room back in a certain way, so the next group could have the same experience as the first group. So that took a little time out of his hand. And then the other thing was pumping people walking through an attraction. Kind of got a little time to as well. You couldn't pump out as many guests. Think about if we had a walking attraction today. How long those wait lines would be. They're already at like 120 minutes to pick up the ride. Anywho, so they wanted to do, let's say, they were like, hey, let's do a boat ride, kind of like we had with Pirates. Well, then they had to do the water, and with Pirates, was they figured it didn't work. So they came up with this really cool idea, and it was kind of like an omni mover. I'll let that out. You would walk in to the Great Hall, and you get a big group on this large platform, and then it would drop you down, and then start driving away. So basically, it's an omni mover car, giant boat that you could fit like a large group of people on. So that was an idea, but that wasn't going to work. So the idea was essentially scrapped, and then working on it, and Walt really wanted a haunted mansion. So finally they decided, okay, let's finish and build this attraction. They started to build the outside of it to look like an old decrepit haunted house. Walt said, no, I don't like the way it looks. I don't want to see, this beautiful infrastructure around it, New Orleans Square, and this old decrepit house. So they actually went down to New Orleans and looked at plantations and actually modeled this off of a actual plantation home. Let's see if I can get it. It is modeled after the Shippy Lydecker house. So it is actually modeled after a real plantation building down in New Orleans. Pretty cool. So then they had the structure, obviously. So obviously, Haunted Mansion opened in 19. Now we stop. Obviously, Haunted Mansion opened in 1969. Unfortunately, Walt Disney passed away in 1966, so we never got to finish seeing the ride be developed. But he did get to work on it, and that's one of his last rides. So, interesting fact is, when we get to this point where we have the Haunted Mansion we have today, we have one key element that depicts from California to Florida that you need to know about, and that's the stretching room. I've never been to California, but I do know that you go into the stretching room and it's the same effect as one in Florida. Or is it? So, as you know, in Florida, you go into the stretching room, you're actually not moving down. It feels like it because you see the ceiling going up and the pictures getting longer. It has a really cool effect. It actually feels you going down. But you're not. You're staying on the same exact level. You walk down a little bit of ramp to get to the dune buggies, but you didn't go anywhere. Whereas in California, you actually are on an elevator, and the ceiling stays still, and you move down. Here's a concept art of that right here. It shows the top half of the elevator and the way it wraps around so that the top part stays and the elevator moves down. The reason they had to do that in California was because of Pirates of the Caribbean. The way the track goes of Pirates of the Caribbean and the track of Haunted Mansion, they had to go under Pirates of the Caribbean there. So you actually have to go down a level. And part of Haunted Mansion also goes up over Pirates of the Caribbean, which I believe is why they had to change Pirates of the Caribbean. I did that quick little dip there at the end, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But so the development to what we have today, a few aspects that actually carried over. We do have 3 Lonesome Ghosts, which are now hitchhiking ghosts. We don't have Hair the Arm, but we do have the pirate aspect, you know, the captain being there and the weather vane. But with all the stories that they, you know, try to came up through the years on trying to create the Haunted Mansion, it's almost like they blended all the stories into one. It's kind of confusing because you go there, you see this pirate captain, you know, hang himself in the dressing room, but then you talk about this bride that killed all of her, you know, husbands. Unfortunately, in Florida, I don't have the Hatbox Ghost, so I don't know much about what his story actually is and what he plays a role in. Maybe you could tell me in the comments down below. Anywho, so you have a bride that killed. You go up in the attic and you see her kill all of her husbands because, you know, she's nuts, and then she kills you. Then you go down to the graveyard and you have the. So what is the actual story? Why couldn't they just pick one story? It would be kind of cool, you know, walk in, see a pirate captain doing there, wife trying to steal the pirate chest, and, you know, he gets angry, kills her, you know, boom, boom. That's one story. Then you go on to, you know, Hair the Arm and invading and, you know, taking away in the house. And I tried to do a history lesson on Haunted Mansion, and doing this research, my mind just went all over the place. It made it even worse. So it's just, I feel like, I love Haunted Mansion. I love the ride. The effects, everything is cool. Yes, I know how the effects are done. It's still cool to watch anyway. But it's just like, you know, right now, the story we have, the main concept of it is you in this haunted house, and the ghosts don't really see you or notice you until you fall out the window and you die, and they accept you, and that's when they start singing to you. Yes, you die on a Haunted Mansion ride when you fall out the attic. Anywho, but then we have the story of the bride. We have the story of the pirate captain. You know, we have the story of all those family members and all the tombstones. You know, this so-and-so killed her husband with an axe. And, you know, it's like there's a lot of history in the house. Obviously, if the family's been there for generations, you know, all these stories are going to progress and build up. But it's a lot of information to take in like a 5-10 minute ride. So it's just, I would like to pick one story and stick with it. I apologize for the long video and my rambling that I do a lot, but my mind just goes all over the place. And I've watched videos on people doing this, and there's just so much information out there. So I advise you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, because I post videos all the time about Disney theories, Disney park stuff, Disney vlogs at the park. I do quiz, everything Disney. And I'm an outdoors guy, so you may get some of that in there too. But I do advise you to watch other people's videos, gather some information, do your own research on Haunted Mansion, if you're curious, because just there's so much information out there, and I just can't put it all into one video. And sorry for my messy hair. It's early in the morning, and I've been just crazy busy in my life. Work has been crazy. Life has been crazy. But I'm glad I can sit down at this and stare into a camera. Quiet! And talk about Disney stuff. And I thank you for watching. And I thank you for enjoying my videos. Thank you. Make sure you watch this video over here and that playlist over there. And I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully I cut that out.